Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's really good that you.
I used to fuck around with Fruity Loops back in the day, dude.
No,
I was
it's
making
been
like
around forever.
techno beats and shit.
Yeah.
Way back in the day,
Yeah,
dude. I
yeah.
used to have so hours and hours and hours just having so much fun making the shittiest stuff.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
I had a cousin.
So much fucking fun.
A cousin who fancied himself a white rapper, and he was not good. He made some pretty decent beats on Fruity Loops. I remember sitting in the garage and him cooking shit up, and you've been like, that's actually kind of fire. Like, this one's not bad. I don't run with that. Maybe fuck with it some more, but this is not bad.
Yeah.
Dude, I maybe once every couple months, there's something in the back of my mind that goes, man, I should fucking re-download that and just start fucking around with it.
It'd
be so much fun.
That's so funny.
Dude, it's fun.
Okay, well, I'm really glad to you said it because I have some production questions. So let's listen to a lot of your music over the last month specifically, and so let me hear about your production process, right? From whatever you're making beats all the time, so you have like a gang of beats that you have sitting in your computer, right?
Essentially, yeah.
And then, so do you just pull one from there or that you like, or you're feeling at that particular time? Or
I have such a shitty process, man. I have such a shitty process.
I like it. Let's hear it.
That's why I feel like a lot of the bigger, like upper head, like artists should like be way more vocal about it, because my process is dog shit. Mine is I'll create beats and I always start with the melody first. Always melody, then drums. But I will. Honestly, every single time I'll make at least like 5 to 6 different beats / melodies before I actually complete like one full beat. I lose interest so fast, and it's terrible. So I don't think it's like a perfectionist thing, but maybe it's a stoicism. I don't know.
Do you
I
save
get over
those
it so
half
fast.
ones, or do you just move on?
Every single time, I always save it. There's always gold somewhere, but
Do you have an external hard drive just packed full of these fucking beats?
I got a terabyte. I haven't hit over that. I have
terabyte's a shitload of
yeah, I
data,
have
though.
2 terabytes. So I have a terabyte for that, and I have a terabyte for like all the actual recordings. So yeah, I have a shit. We haven't even close to that threshold.
Fuck
but
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like we have a couple. Colin's got a couple of.
Got a stack.
Yeah.
The
smart
video.
to have,
Well, the
hard
videos
drives.
the video takes a lot.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
That's,
yeah,
you know,
but
but
it's crazy.
it's good to have.
It's good to have.
One day someone's gonna want to pay us a lot of money for those back episodes, and be like, fucking take them.
There you go.
That's
You
fine.
gotta keep it. Yeah,
It's all available on the internet. I'll just re-download it. It's fine.
We all still own it, but you can have the originals if you want.
Once I discovered that, like, oh no, once it's on the internet, it's there forever, and I could just go click download. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I-
You have the finished product
the
too.
savings.
Yeah. Well, and that's for us. Like we don't cut anything from the show as far as content goes.
No.
So the difference in what we pull off the internet and what
That's
we
a
record
lot.
is just going to be shorter.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a more
It's
just a
just
more
cut the bricks.
compact.
That's
yeah,
it. That's
exactly.
it.
So we don't have like we don't have any worries about like, oh, what if this thing that we didn't say or whatever the fuck, we're not missing anything by pulling it from there. Elijah,
Sorry about
I
that.
noticed it too. You were making a face that
Got
was
a thinking
almost,
face?
It was almost pained, like confused by what we were saying. You were listening very intently.
Yeah, I think it's just how I listen.
Yes, yeah. And I have we've talked about it many times. I have a very distinct Donovan listening face that I don't ever notice, but Jordan calls out consistently.
Yeah.
Because she can
so
tell
funny.
that's when I'm like actually thinking about what the person is saying and like I'm really fucking taking it in.
Yeah.
And that's, I almost asked you once if you were uncomfortable, but I was like, no, I'm not going to put
Same
it
face. Yeah. No, I have the same face.
I knew that you weren't, but
Yeah.
that's very funny. Okay, so after that, you pull the beat, right? You have a couple of melodies you pull, and then you make one into an actual beat.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Okay.
There's always one that like always sticks, or I'll have some type of melody or some type of line, and then, like even with like the "I'm on the way to you" one, like I had like that melody, and like just like humming it. I had like the chorus in my head, and then just just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So that's really all it is. That's all it is.
So then you pick one, and that's the one that you're going to start writing on when you pick it and finish it, or you just pick that one to finish and then
Now
put
let's
it in
come
the
up with some
can
lyrics.
and wait for another day.
No. So I always just record like right after that.
Okay.
Very, very rarely will I record like the same song like 2 days in a row. Like I'll finish it in one day because my voice is so raspy. So I don't know if like you guys have like other artists you guys obviously listen to like
Right.
So there's a big reason why they say like artists and recording artists, because recording artists, it's just like voice actors. It's really hard to get your voice the same exact way.
Every
Like
single
just
time.
like talking
Yeah.
like this, the same type of like pitch and everything. It's extremely hard. My voice is extremely raspy, so it's extremely hard to do day to day, day in, day out. So if I don't knock it out in the same session, there's hardly a chance I'm gonna finish it.
It's just going to be too different.
Yeah, my
It'd be
voice is way
real
too
tough
raspy.
to mix that whole situation in.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
So when you pick that, will you sit down and write the lyrics that day, or do you also have like a book of lyrics that you're pulling from that you're matching with the other beats, or
Nope, I just write it down that day.
Just write 'em all
Yeah,
down
as
that
of
day.
lately, I just been kind of like freestyling, so I haven't even really wrote things down. So it's funny because I work with John, right? So
Yeah.
Dr. Slider, I work with him, and I send him like a lot of my lyrics. I think there was one song recently I was like, oh shoot, dude, I didn't even write down the lyrics because I just kind of freestyled it all, just kind of like record and just did it. But I always write it down. Yeah, it's important to have that stuff down.
yeah? But I mean, like you write it that day, like you don't
Yeah,
have a,
no, I don't go back. I mean, it's nice to have stuff like that, but at the same time, it doesn't help you create if you just
Right.
keep pulling from other stuff, right? Like, yeah, I see that as a form of regressing. Personally, to me,
yeah.
I think it's regressing if you keep pulling back from stuff you write. I think it works and it's important,
That is super interesting.
but it's like, I don't know. So it's like you have like a different canvas each time,
Right.
right? So it's like
Yeah.
if I keep pulling from that one feeling I was feeling that day, well, that's completely different than now, and it might work and it might be better that way, but it's 70% of the time I'm not doing that.
do you
That's-
have? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's kind of fascinating because in a completely different creative form, I like to do a lot of painting when it strikes me, and very, very, very rarely can I work on a painting multiple days because I'm not in the same headspace. I'm not in the frame of
Exactly.
mind. I don't see the same fucking picture. Whatever is happening on the canvas that day is going to either I'm not going to finish it or it's going to be finished and I'm not going to stop until it's finished. It's a very, like, I worked on that for multiple days and it felt very, very uncomfortable to me to do that.
Was it a South Park one?
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
I was just about
it
to-
was easy enough to do because it was very straightforward. But like, if I'm just going to sit down with an empty piece of canvas and just throw something on there,
Right. Just
I
create.
have to do it in one sitting.
Exactly.
I might be able to take like an hour break or something like that to just wait for things to dry or whatever. But like, I can't exit the mind frame. I
Yeah.
can't do that.
That's really, excuse me. That's really fucking interesting. That's
Well, thank you.
really. I don't.
It is interesting. It's not the greatest,
I don't
most
think it's
productive way.
not ideal at all.
but it's very interesting because I don't. Whatever. I'm not.
When the
my-
muse takes you, bro, you just go.
I express creativity through writing. That's my thing, and so I don't. I obviously do a lot of writing in one day, but it's most of the time I'm not going to finish a piece in one day, and I have to come back to it. I need to separate myself from it and think about it more. And if I try and plan it out too much beforehand, whatever I write is going to have nothing to do with whatever I outlined. You know, and so that's for years and years and years and years and years. I refused to, at school and stuff, refused to do outlines, refused to do any of that stuff. I would write a first draft and then write a second draft afterwards, and that was my final. I didn't want to do the outline, and it's because it's adjusting too much, you know? So even now, if I try and do an outline for an article or something, when I actually write it, it has fucking nothing to do with the outline that I wrote out because it's very different.
But
it's
once
very,
the first
very
draft
interesting.
is done, like I'll have to puke out all the words on the first draft.
Yeah.
And then it's there, and I can
Right.
come back to it then. I can come back to it later at that point and then adjust and edit and change things. Sometimes I'll just cut out whole sections and put in a new section or something like
Yeah.
that. But the whole thing, more or less, has to be there initially. Just got to get that first draft down. I got to do the initial creative explosion has to come out. Whatever I'm thinking at that point, I'm not going to be thinking about the same thing tomorrow the same exact way that I'm thinking about it right now. And it's the same with my painting and all that stuff like that. It's just, I always have to just get it out there first, which is probably why I have so many unfinished projects.
Yeah.
Because you do that and then you want to come back to it, you like the idea of it, but then you go back through it and you just can't maintain that same level of passion about it.
That is super interesting. I don't know. Well, now I'm thinking like a lot about my own process. You know, I'm a lingerer, like on feelings and stuff. You know, I'm gonna sit on that until I've figured it out, like until I've kind of decoded what my issue is or whatever the fuck. Like I'll sit on it, you know. And I think to me that speaks to the writing thing that like I'll come back to it. I'll fucking come back to it every day for a week if I need to, because I need to figure this the fuck out. Like I need to do that. You know, I have a very difficult time if I have something that's upsetting me, like removing myself from that. You know, I'll do other shit and that will kind of clear my mind, but I'm always going to be thinking about that thing. That's going to still be there, and I'm going to keep. It doesn't go away until I have found some form of resolution for it, at least in my mind. You know, that's very interesting. So, do you, for writing, do you do you have a book of writing somewhere that you?
I just use my phone. I used to write it down.
Well,
but,
that's fine. I just mean somewhere that you're
I use my
compiling
phone.
writings, and so you do have old writings. You just don't really like revisit them to use them for.
No, a lot of time I also have like stuff. I have plenty of songs I recorded that may or may not just see the light of the day.
Yeah.
It's really up to like. It's kind of funny because I send. I'm sure I don't know. You guys obviously probably don't do this because you guys like record everything live. But you imagine you've recorded a show and you send it to someone like, all right, well, how do you feel about this? Do you think I should actually put this out in the world or not? Well, that's kind of what I do with like John or some of the guys. I'll like send it out and be like, all right, well, how do you feel about this? So a lot of the time, you know, some things are just rough drafts and some things are just kind of how you feel. They're not actually supposed to be viewed from people.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
writing a letter, not sending it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just therapeutic almost.
You know, like journaling in a way.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what it is a lot of the time.
That's very interesting.
No,
So are they the deciding factor of whether or not you release it, or you just use their input as input to
Yeah, I
decide
use-
whether or not you're gonna?
Yeah, I just use it as input because I think the decision's already made up. If I'm gonna put it out, I'm gonna put it out. But I think as artists and as creatives, I think often we're in our own head, almost as in like we're gonna receive bad news. It's gonna go worse than what it actually is. But if you guys are familiar with like Russ as an artist, rapper, singer, he said his mom always said, well, what if it goes better than you ever could imagine?
Yeah.
And ever since I first heard that, I was like, wow, that's something I've never heard growing up. So once he said, I was like, wow, that really stuck with me. Is yeah, what if it does go better than you ever could imagine, right? Like it's like playing the lottery. You'll never actually win the lottery unless you actually play, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Welcome to the south of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat.